But there are all sorts of factions at play in boxing, and agendas and self-interest that can prevent so many different things from happening. But when you look at the matchups as well, it's just a high quality of matchup. You know, we've got a fight at featherweight, a middleweight, a light heavyweight, and 2 at heavyweight. As you say, Wilder has been drafted into Team Queensberry, but Wilder against Zhilei Zhang is a fascinating fight, as is Hrgovic against Dubois. Hrgovic a strong favourite. I make Dubois a very live underdog in that fight. A light heavyweight, Craig Richards boxing for Matchroom against Willie Hutchinson of Queensberry. A middleweight, we've got Hamzah Sheeraz, the Queensberry captain, up against Amo Williams. Again, that's another difficult one to call. And then at featherweight, Nick Ball, fresh from, I think, a very unlucky performance against Ray Vargas. I thought he won that night for the WBC title. He immediately gets a shot at the world title, this time against the WBA champion in Ray Ford. So I think the matching has been kind of perfect, to be honest with you, because it's very difficult to pick clear winners in each one of those fights. There are some where, when you look at their resumes and the kind of body of evidence, you've got a clear favourite, but the other one gives you a lot to think about.
Well, when we're in fight week, and let's be honest, the visual delights, the sonoric delights at the moment, you feel like you're on a nightclub with the best graphic artists around. Everything's being filmed, whether you like everything. I mean, from the top of your head to your heels. Everybody who's everybody in our world is here. The funniest thing about this week is when I do some of my work at home with betting agents and so on, I have to make my picks before I come, okay? As I spend time around these guys, and there's an 80-20 on this card. Bivol is an 80-20 to win. There's 3 50-50s and 2 60-40s in my view. Or maybe 5 50-50. You can call it 5 50-50s. So we'll get into it. I mean, I'm excited to talk about all these fights with you. I change my mind as we go along. Me too. And I think to kick us off behind us on the stage, imminently, we're going to have a little bit of fun between the 2 reporters as well, because Dev Sarni is on duty for Queensberry tonight. Jamie Ward is on duty for Matchroom, so I think those 2 have got something kind of set up to kick things off. And it's that kind of a week. Everybody has their allegiances, everybody has their loyalties. It's quite tongue-in-cheek, it's quite playful, but it won't be come fight night, because all of these fighters will be absolutely desperate to win. They want to move their individual careers on. The way that it works is you get a point for a win, you get 2 points if you win by stoppage, and for captains it counts double. So if either Hamzah Sheeraz, who's the Queensberry captain, or Deontay Wilder, the Matchroom captain, if they get a win by stoppage, then they would score 4 points, for example. If they just get the win, they would score 2 points. So that's just something else to take into account. But the 5-fight format, I mean, it works for me. Quick one on Dmitry Bivol, because he was expecting to fight Artur Beterbiev. Hugely disappointing for him that he's not. But then Malik Zinad comes in, and he looks like he could be able to give him a little bit of a tussle. We spoke to him yesterday, as I know you did yourself. We'll get to that a little bit later on, because I think it's imminent. It's imminent, the start of proceedings here. Just waiting for the green light to hand over to Dev and to Jamie. Well, we're not going to go to them quite yet. Good for me.
What do you make of Zinad?
Look, this is a massive opportunity for this young man. I think he's 16 knockouts in 24, undefeated, something like that.
22-0.
22-0, but 16 knockouts. Very proud Libyan. He's going to be, I've been clicking his heels, going clickety-boo all the way here to Riyadh over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because upsets happen in boxing. Bivol might not be taking him seriously. Bivol's not that kind of man. He's got a laser focus and a posture about him wherever he walks, that he's focused. Even when he's sitting in a theatre auditorium chair, as he was in the last couple of days when I met up with him. But he will see this as an opportunity to win a world title and to project himself into the future.
Okay, let's go over to the stage. Dev Sarni and Jamie Ward.
Eddie Hearn himself.
And I'll be speaking to the daddy, Frank Warren, the winning promoter on Saturday. Yeah. And Jamie, look.
So apologies, we lost sound there on the stage with Dev And Jamie, I saw them rehearsing that Gareth earlier on. They were taking great care over it, so I'll be devastated that it hasn't reached the eyes and ears of our listeners. But it's a lovely night here in Riyadh, isn't it, too? You can see at home the wind just whipping through the locks of Mr. Gareth A. Davis. It's welcome as well, because during the day it's blisteringly hot. We've got all the fight week activities in the evening like we did a couple of weeks ago, and it's kind of amazing to think that we were here that recently and we're back here already. But there's a very different feel to this, because it is, as we've been saying, it is something different. Let me ask you about Daniel Dubois against Filip Hrgovic, because that's for the IBF mandatory position, essentially, that Hrgovic has had for a long time now. He didn't take a hard fight before Christmas. He got in there with Mark Demori and he won in a round, and you could understand why he wasn't really wanting to risk that position. But the reality is, if you want to box on these cards, you're only ever going to get one of them. Most people don't get one. He was given one, and now he's in with Daniel Dubois off the back of that win against Jarrell Miller. And make Dubois, he has to be the underdog, I understand that, but I make him a live underdog.
Yeah, and also if you go back to, just dig a little bit further back with Filip Hrgovic, and I do really rate him. There's something about him. You go back to Dempsey McKean, he looks slothful. You go back to Zhilei Zhang, and I gave Zhilei Zhang that fight, if not a draw. I'd say try and repair the sound for us. I will close myself down. What a tunic, by the way. What a tunic. Hair, and imagine my hair in your tunic. I might be getting that top off you later. We might have to have a little gamble and a little bet ourselves.
We're not doing
about
that.
Who wins what.
We're not doing that. I'll lend you this one day later in the week, though, if you want, because I think that combination, I mean, maybe it is something that the public need to see. Maybe it is. Thomas Treiber, our MC for the evening, has moved into position behind us, so it won't be too long now before he introduces the fighters. I believe it will be Malik Zinad and Dimitri Bivol first up, and then we get into the 5 versus 5. We're going to see Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren face off, I understand, which will be interesting. Everybody very much enjoyed the promo, didn't they? The lock stock style promo. It was great fun. And then we'll have the fighters themselves making their way to the middle of the stage. Jamie and Dev will be asking the questions. They'll give us a quick wave. We're going to get through this relatively quickly, I think, like it was a couple of weeks ago for Fury Usyk. Sometimes grand arrivals can take a really long time, and I don't think it's the best way to start the week for the fighters, because they've got a lot of this to do.
We've learnt in America, and it does have a Vegas feel about it as well as being in New York. Oh! Dubois, to answer your question from just now, because we are waiting for them to start as well, is a very live underdog. He can give anyone a clatter and really hurt them. Hrgovic has got to thwart him early and take over. If Daniel wins, it'll be amazing for British sports people and British sports fans, because we'll get him against Anthony Joshua, and that is an enormous fight. It's verging on the... You salivate thinking about that fight, because Daniel has the power to knock Anthony Joshua out, and Anthony Joshua is resurgent at the moment. I loved Daniel Dubois, staying in same residence as me, and he looks so confident. I love him with Don Chisora, with Don Charles, who's an amazing, headstrong coach, and I think is brilliant for Daniel. And if Daniel gets beyond 6 or 7 rounds, and Hrgovic hasn't put big dents in him, and hasn't thwarted that mojo that he had against Jarrell Miller, 7th round onwards against Jarrell Miller, he was enormous. Daniel, you could see him grinning and getting into it. If he has that kind of attitude and that kind of performance against Hrgovic, he'll push him further than Hrgovic has ever been pushed before. And yet, I sat with Hrgovic yesterday in the auditorium at the hotel that they're at on the outskirts of the town, and honestly, Andy, Hrgovic has a great aura and presence about him as well.
He absolutely does. He absolutely does. The other heavyweight fight, Deontay Wilder against Zhilei Zhang, that's the one which is really capturing international attention. And you look at what happened to the pair of them in their last fight. Zhang lost to Joseph Parker, and he did lose, despite the 2 knockdowns. He did lose. The judges got that one absolutely right. Deontay Wilder lost to Parker himself just before Christmas, and he looked gun shy. The bronze bomber looked like he might have lost the ability to drop bombs.
It was empty.
And that can happen to fighters as they get older. His demeanour during fight week was different. We all noticed it. And I remember talking to you about it. We both agreed that the way he seemed to be, the philosophical Wilder, that boded really well for the rest of his life. but wasn't great for a boxing career.
An ayahuasca retreat and going into psychotropics is not the thing when you've got a 17.5 stone man coming at you who wants to put your lights out. And he's been lying on a beach in Costa Rica. He's been in the jungle. He's in love with telly. They're thinking about 12 children that they want to have. They're up to 8. They're ahead of the Furies, by the way, I think. Paris and Tyson. They're kind of slightly ahead of them. And I said to Telly and to Deontay in the build-up to that, what was it like? He said, I'm going back. I'm going back after this fight. I've discovered a new me. But the Wilder now is saying, I was damned when I did, and I damned when I didn't. And when I was damned when I did, and I said I want a body bag during my career, and we did criticise him for that, and rightly so. But then when he said I'm all love and peace, he was criticised for that. And he says, that killer is back. So, and look who's come to join us.
Our great pal sponsor Spencer Oliver has just sidled in to join us. Good to see you, Spencer, as always.
How are we, gentlemen?
Dancing, baby.
Yeah, we're all good, mate. We're all good. Playing some tunes out there, actually.
Well, who is it? It's DJ Majestic, of course. DJ Majestic is here with us tonight. He's just come fresh from Ibiza in Vegas.
Spence, always good to see you. I'll cut through that.
Listen,
we were just talking about the heavyweights. If we go to the other end of the scale and go to the featherweights, you look at Nick Ball against Ray Ford. Nick Ball, I felt, was unlucky against Ray Vargas for that WBC title. I thought he won that fight. Nobody will ever convince me that he didn't win that fight. He gets an opportunity straight away again against Ford, who, in that win against Kolmatov, just did it the way that you dream about doing it. He was down on the cards going into the final round. He needed the knockout, he needed the stoppage, and he got it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Konrov, you know, when you look at him, he's a tough guy, and he asked a lot of questions of Ray Ford, and Ray Ford showed a lot of character in that fight. Like you say, he come from behind, he never give up hope, the will to win and the desire, and that showed, and he just gritted his teeth and bit on, and he got a stoppage with about 10 seconds, 5 seconds to go in that contest. Yeah, it was a great performance. But there, he proved that, Gareth, he proved there that actually he can weather these storms. He doesn't feel sorry for himself. He can go through that, go through those rough patches, get out of the trenches, as did Nick Ball do against Isaac Dogba. When you saw Nick Ball there, was a couple of times in that fight when he was asked questions about, it was a coming-of-age fight for him in many ways. They've both been through those fights now, and that's what makes this one such a fascinating contest. You go, because they've both experienced that, and they've come through it. They've showed that championship material. That's a real 50-50 fight, that one. It could go either way.
And because he's been tight at the weights, I heard Eddie talking with Frank earlier, and he was trying to get into Frank's head when he was doing his tete-a-tete and saying, I hired a nutritionist for him. He's had the best nutritionist we possibly get. He's been with him the entire camp. The weight cut is amazing. There's no struggle at all. Because if there was one thing for Ray Ford, because Nick Ball will bring it. He will be relentless. But and I think Ford is brilliant at catching people coming in as well.
Absolutely.
By the way.
Listen,
and if he's on weight and on shape, and I'm going to start my predictions here. My heart wants Nick Ball, and he should be a world champion already. I think he beat Ray Vargas by a point or two. How did he not? 2 knockdowns, fight at 2 halves, won the second half and was 2 knockdowns, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, worst case, he drew 6-6 and one of the knockdowns.
Exactly, and 2 knockdowns. How he didn't hold the WBC title, I don't know. I'm seeing this as a unification. Heart says the young Scouser, but my head says Ray Ford.
Yeah, it's a big shout, to be fair, and a good shout. I think, like I say, Ray Ford's one of those guys that just don't go away. Great shot selection as well, you know, and he picks the shots out of that southpaw stance really well.
Reminiscent of Shakur at times.
He really is, and but he's got that toughness that is needed at this level, as has Nick Ball as well. Tough one to call. I maybe lean towards Nick Ball. I think he may just nick it. Well, it's a little bit of both, if I'm totally honest. I think that he was very hard done by against Vargas. I know you thought it was close. I thought that he won that fight. I thought he won it by, absolutely. He should be world champion.
Absolutely.
I just think that will push him on a little bit more. That's a tight fight to call, but I'm just leaning towards Nick Ball.
I think it's a Chemical Brothers thing.
if you go into one of the other fights, I'm just going to let him do his thing at times. And
I work with him all the time.
If I don't have anything really to add to it, then I'll just speak to you. So, thinking about the middleweight fight, Hamzah Sheeraz is the captain, the Queensberry captain, so there's some pressure on him in that regard. Ammo Williams, we've seen quite a lot of him in the UK. He's come up nicely. You know, he's undefeated. They've developed him nicely. They brought him on really well, I think. I think for this one, all the time that Hamzah's been spending in US gyms with Ricky Funes, which has been about 3 years now living over there, will serve him well, because Williams will bring that kind of American heat, looking at Sheeraz and just saying, listen, you might be a big deal in the UK, but no one cares about you in the USA. And that's what he'll be getting in the gyms all the time.
Absolutely. Listen, you know, he's a tough kid who's done it the hard way. He's done it on the road in many ways. He's learnt his trade. He's done his apprenticeship on the road. Hamzah Sheeraz has always been a dangerous force. Moving up to middleweight was a brilliant move for him. I think he's grown into that very, very well, and like his last fight against Liam Williams, a one-round demolition. Listen, we all felt Sheeraz, it's all about timing. Sheeraz would have him at the right time, but no one expected him to do a job on Williams the way he'd done it. For me, you go, you've just announced yourself on the world stage as a world-class fighter. And Mo Williams is the same. He's done it, you know, the similar sort of way across the pond. And, you know, you just look at him and you go, look at how he's developed. You go, again, it's another tough fight to call. But I just think that the solidness of Hamzah Sheeraz will get him through, and I think that he wins the fight. I just think there's a more solid look about him. He keeps himself nice and tight. And although he's the taller fighter of the two, his inside work is incredible, and I think that gets him the victory.
I'm going to go slightly different indentations here. Had a very deep, as you know, Ammo Williams is a very unusual. He's another Ryan Garcia. He's very out there, but in an amazing way. The tiger's tail, the leather gloves. He said it's not an alter ego. He really does feel his animal spirit. Hamzah Sheeraz. Yes, Liam Williams was a great name for him to defeat, but Liam was finished before he went in that ring, I believe. He wasn't world class anymore, and he approached world class, Liam. It was listen, it showed how powerful Hamzah is, there's no question about it. He's upright, strong, great defense, and very direct. He will need a little bit of lateral movement in this fight against Ammo Williams, who's more of an arcing kind of who's more of an arcing, hooking fighter who doesn't have the work rate of Sheeraz either. But what I fear for Hamzah in this fight is if he hurts Ammo, we got a war starting. But I think we're going to get one.
And this is where I go with when you're saying the stylistically thing. Like you say, he arcs around the side. Hamzah Sheeraz is very tight and works everything very short. There's a solid look about him, but his boxing IQ is brilliant as well. He punches when his opponent punches. That's why I pick him to win the fight.
We are a little bit delayed here, I believe, because Dimitri Bivol hasn't managed to arrive yet. That's the rumour that I'm hearing, which is the champion's prerogative. But I think we're not too far away, because Thomas Treiber is lit up in the middle of the stage back there. So I don't think we're quite going to have time to get to our light heavyweights and talk about Craig Richards and Willie Hutchinson. We will do in due course, just not quite yet. I do like that fight though. Richards has got the much more convincing resume and body of work. Hutchinson, that one British title fight against Lennox Clark, it went wrong that night. He stepped up in weight and had to rebuild since. So really, it's still a big step up for him, but he's very, very confident, and he's also pretty convincing when you're in his company. Let's get over, for the first time tonight, to our Master of Ceremonies, Thomas Treiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand arrivals for 5 versus 5, a great night of World Championship Boxing this Saturday, live from Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It is all being brought to you by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry Promotions and Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing, in conjunction with Riyadh Season, National Events Center, the General Entertainment Authority, GIA, Gold Star Promotions, and Sela. This great event will be shown worldwide on DAZN pay-per-view and in the UK on TNT Sports Box Office and DAZN. At this time, we would like to extend a big thank you to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, GIA, Turkey Al-Sheikh. Our first two fighters competing this Saturday in a scheduled 12-round contest. It will be for both the WBA and IBO light heavyweight championships of the world. Let's first welcome the challenger, a native of Libya, now fighting out of Pieta, Malta. He brings an undefeated record with 22 wins, 16 of his 22 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is Malik Zanad.
So Zanad has been spoken about as a potential Bivol opponent before, and he's been in the UK quite a bit. I know he's done some training with Joe Gallagher, with Shane McGuigan, who both had good things to say about his ability level. It wouldn't appear that he was quite the right fit for either of them. He's training with Will Jones for this one. His gym is actually just down the road from me in Romford. So he's done some travelling. He's Libya's only pro boxer, undefeated, and comes with that confidence.
Listen, this is a new level now. This is a sort of coming of age fight for him, but he's in against a pound for pound star. You know, he's got a great record, done nothing wrong as of yet, but he's been boxing at a much lower level. Very tall for light heavy, very rangy, gets hit a lot with the right hand, and that could be his undoing. You know, he's strong, he's got a big right hand himself, but Zanad's really up against it, as we know. Malik, Dimitri Bivol, you
Malik,
know, don't really need to say
Malik,
anymore.
Let's have a chat. Malik Zanad, stand here for me, please, sir. I mean, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, but one you've been working your whole life for. How are you going to do it on Saturday and beat Dimitri Bivol?
Saturday, guys, it's going to be huge. It's going to be war inside the ring, trust me. So everyone, come and don't miss this. Don't miss this. The Libyan Malik Zanad is going to smash it in the 1st of June.
Best of luck to you, Malik. Thank you so much.
And now let's welcome the defending world champion, a native of Kyrgyzstan, now fighting out of Indio, California, USA. He is undefeated with 22 wins, 11 of his 22 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the reigning and defending WBA and IBO light heavyweight champion of the world, Dimitri Bivol.
Was expecting to be fighting Beterbiev for undisputed tonight. He discovered a few weeks ago that that wasn't going to happen, which will have been enormously frustrating. But what he's shown us in his career, Gareth, as quickly as he's moved in recent times, is that he is a patient man.
He's a patient.
He can wait.
Yeah, he's patient, he's humble, he's focused. At the media day yesterday, I had a quick chat with him, and he's taking his opponent really, really seriously. He's not anticipating knocking him out. He said, I'm going in there, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to break him down, chop him down like a tree. Yes, I'd love to get a dramatic finish, but it's all about beating him. It's not about projecting himself into that undisputed title, and that's the key for him in this fight. So focused.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he does, Bivol. He's one of those guys that just likes, he's very calculated in what he does.
Well, we are on the stage now, WBA light heavyweight champion of the world, Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri, welcome to Fight Week. It's not the undisputed clash with Artur Beterbiev, sadly, that the world were waiting for. But how focused do you have to be? Because this potentially is a massive year for you against a man coming to change his life on Saturday night.
Oh, you know, I'm just happy that I have fight, because I could not have fight because of injury of Beterbiev. But now I have a serious opponent who has never lost, and it's make me more excited to show the world that I'm the champion.
Well, we cannot wait to see you back in the ring. Dimitri Bivol, WBA light heavyweight, as I said, champion of the world.
It's there. Jamie will be talking to the Matchroom fighters. Dev Sani will be talking to the Queensberry fighters.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Welcome our 5 versus 5 promoters. First, International Boxing Hall of Fame promoter, Mr. Frank Warren of Queensberry Promotions, and he is joined by Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing.
Well, back in this exact same location at the end of last October, we saw Frank Warren make this leisurely stroll alongside Bob Arum. This time he has got Eddie Hearn for company, and who would ever have thought it, Spencer?
30 years of competition, 30 years of being enemies. Now they are working together. You know, the investment of Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has been a massive part of that. And these two, and it's been good for boxing actually, because we're now taking the politics away from it. We're getting the best versus the best. Now they're working together, but on Saturday night they're actually working against each other. And listen, Gareth, they've both got big egos, you know, and they will both desperately want to win.
And listen, 50 years
Ladies
of promotional rivalry, 2 dynasties in the UK.
5
It's incredible.
versus Matchroom 5.
Well, we are on stage now with El Jefe, dressed like it too. Eddie Hearn. Eddie, listen, now we are finally here. Decades of rivalry spills over into the boxing ring on Saturday night. All the back and forth historically with the families, the businesses, the Hearns and Warren, Matchroom and Queensberry. Now you're here. What does this opportunity mean to you and to Matchroom?
Well, it was the first time I saw fear in Frank Warren's eyes. You know, I think he realises we're 4 days away from a drubbing. You know, from the moment that he thought could be Queensberry's night, but knows deep down when he looks at this card and he looks at the size of Craig Richards back in that green room. He looks at Ammo Williams with a fox's tail. He looks at Ray Ford with the sunglasses on and looks at the size of Filip Hrgovic and the determination of Deontay Wilder and realises this ain't going to end well. But on a serious note, this is like nothing we've ever seen before. I've never been so excited about an event. And yeah, we've got the narrative of the rivalry and the decades and the generation of competition, but what we've got is top to bottom 5 world-class fights that you cannot pick from. And you know, this is an unbelievable concept. You're going to have scores running all night, and ultimately it's more than likely this is going to go down to the wire, to the big one, to Deontay Wilder against Zhilei Zhang. And we want to win so bad, our fighters want to win so bad. This is going to be a special night in Riyadh on Saturday.
We're expecting rally cries and team talks and mind games perhaps on the other side that we've never seen before from yourself.
Everything. I've got to get in the minds of our fighters and I've got to get in the minds of his fighters. And I've got to make sure they realise this is the opportunity of a lifetime. For some to defend their world titles, to some to resurrect their career, to some to save their career, and ultimately come back here and be part of this incredible boxing scene in Riyadh. This is it. This is the moment. This is what we live for. This is the beauty of sport. 5v5, 4 days away.
Matchroom Chairman, Eddie Hearn.
Okay, well, let's hear from the Hall of Fame boxing promoter, Mr. Frank Warren. Frank, you've just heard all of Eddie's claims there. Said he saw fear in your eyes as well, amongst other things. What do you think of Eddie? What do you think of those cards up there, those 5 that he's picked?
I think he's got a busted flush. Look, we're ready to go. We're ready to roll. My fighters are in great shape, all 5 of them. We're really looking forward to this. There's so much rivalry involved, and we agree on a lot of things now. I agree that they're going to be great fights. They're 50-50 fights. Maybe one of them, 2 of them, maximum 60-40. Nobody can afford to lose a fight. These fights are the most important fights of their career up to now. All of them. They win, they go on to a bigger stage. They lose, they're going to drop down the ladder. This is going to be something extra special. Cracking fights. The rivalry goes back 5 decades between his dad, me, the families, and whatever. And now it is still a rivalry, but I think it's more a respectful rivalry, certainly from me and I believe from Eddie. But you know what? This is the boxing game we're in. This is about winners. and we all want to be winners. And my guys want to win. We don't want to win this by coming down to the last fight. We want to win this 5-0. That's what we want, 5-0. We pick 5 fighters that we believe can win the 5 fights.
There we go. Thank you so much, Frank Warren. Fighting words from the Queensberry chairman. Back to you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has arrived to welcome our 5 versus 5 fighters. Our first 2 competing this Saturday in a 12-round contest. It will be for the vacant WBC Silver Light Heavyweight Championship. First, representing Matchroom Boxing. Coming to us from London, England, his professional record consisting of 18 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw, 11 of his 18 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former British champion and former world title challenger, Craig Spider Richards.
So here's this light heavyweight contest that we didn't quite get time to discuss before we hand it over for the opening of proceedings. I've covered almost every fight of his career, Craig Richards, up until the last 2 or 3 years, and I've always enjoyed talking to him. He's got plenty to say. He's got what I would describe as real confidence. He's won a British title, had good performances against the likes of Joshua Buatsi and Dimitri Bivol, but ultimately ended up coming up short. He doesn't want to be measured by those losses. He feels that he needs to win a world title before his career is out to really make the most of his talent. Eddie Hearn's just strolled up onto the stage, and Eddie, just quickly talking about Craig there, I said that he's always struck me as somebody who has real confidence. He's one of those characters, isn't he?
Yeah, you know what, and the confidence now is getting bigger and bigger under Shane McGuigan. You know, that belief in himself. I think this is a really, really, really great opening fight on the card. He looks so...
Those career-defining fights against Joshua Buatsi, against Dimitri Bivol, of course. This week with Willie Hutchinson, he's had a lot to say. He believes he'll win by knockout on Saturday. But why do you demand a big performance from yourself on Saturday? Why is a close call not enough?
I feel like Willie Hutchinson's not on my level, and I had to separate the levels come Saturday night and show why I belong at the top level and separate the difference between me and him.
Craig, we cannot wait. Just had time for a quick word there.
And now
okay, so Craig Richards with some brief thoughts. And his opponent on Saturday's Willie Hutchinson, who won a World Youth gold medal as an amateur and really did beat everyone on the way to that gold medal as well. I followed him through that kind of 2-year cycle. He beat the Russians, he beat the Kazakhs, he beat absolutely everybody put in front of him and was a very, very worthy gold medalist. Frank Warren has joined us up on the stage as well, and I'll just see if I can get his thoughts on Willie Hutchinson. Frank, this is your guy making his way to the ring, Willie Hutchinson. He's full of confidence still, despite the setback he had against Lennox Clark, which I appreciate was a while ago now. When you look at their respective records, this is a big step up for him against Craig Richards, but he is so full of self-belief that he can take it.
Well, he needs to be. You know, he had that hiccup where when he started out with us, I thought he was going to be the real next big thing. Came in with an immaculate amateur record, the most decorated amateur in Scotland ever. And I say, he fell over at the first hurdle, the big fight, but since then he's put some good wins together. But he is in such a good place. I was talking to him just before he walks on here, and all he keeps saying, I am going to knock him out.
Richards fights at one pace very often, and I just think if he can force it and move the fight into his pattern. Sorry, Eddie, but I'm siding with Mr. Warren on this one. I'm not saying that's what my heart says, it's what my head says.
You're supposed to be impartial.
No, your heart does say it, don't it? You know, let's get it right. But look, at the end of the day, it's going to be a good fight.
It's a 60-40 for me, but with the bookmakers, but I think Hutchinson is special.
Well, we're going to find out.
He'll need to be.
Yeah. Look, he's fought world class, Craig, hasn't he?
Lost 115, 113 to Dimitri Bivol.
Frank, you're winning on the looks tonight, by the way, by a long
what's happened
way.
to you?
By a long
What's
way.
happened to you? Something you've got to tell me or something.
So when I'm in your corner, I'm in your corner, but when Frank's winning, I'm stepping over there.
Okay, so Thomas Tribert now just announcing behind us that the featherweights are going to join us. WBA featherweight title on the line. Of course, the champion is Ray Ford. The challenger is Nick Ball. I make this an extremely interesting fight. First to be introduced will be Ray Ford, who won that title in incredible fashion last time out against Otabek Kolmatov. He came from behind. He needed the knockout in the final round. He got it with 7 seconds to go. It's the stuff that dreams are made of. And Eddie, when it comes to winning a world title, the way that Ray Ford did it against Kolmatov, that is just, it doesn't get any better than that.
And you know what, Andy, no one wanted to fight Kolmatov. I mean, you know, Lee Wood did need to move up anyway in weight, but it definitely wasn't a fight we were entertaining. You know, he was a knockout artist, and he had to do it on a top-ranked show, away from home, 12 seconds to go, behind on the scorecards, came back and stopped him in the final round. And I feel like there's so many more levels to come from Ray Ford. Trains with Shakur, he's got those kind of skills, but this is a real tough fight. I mean, as you know, you've seen in the promos, I'm a Nick Ball fan, but I just feel like the skill of Ray Ford will be the deciding factor of this one, in another 50-50 fight.
It's hard.
Gareth, can we win this one? Or I mean,
I'm going for Ray Ford in
hey,
this, marginally.
Wow.
Oh,
Are you okay?
Ship already.
Listen, Hearts would love Nick Ball to win. I just think if Ford can pick him off, because Nick will be relentless, won't he, as he always is. It should be. This should be a unification, by the way, as well. Shouldn't it? It should be a WBA,
Well, it should do,
WBC.
and he was in last time with the best featherweight in the world. So he beat him. Nick is relentless, and he steps up every time he fights. Every fight he has, he gets better.
Correct.
And better and better. And he's going to have to get better, by the way. He's got to beat this guy who's a very good fighter. It's a live fight, it's a great fight, and it's a 50-50 job.
It is. Eddie, it's difficult making weight at the lower weights for everybody. Everybody, I think, is pretty weight drained by the time you get to the weigh-in. I saw him in the gym this morning, Ray. He's togged up there again on stage. He's losing this last little bit. It's not easy for him, is it?
Yeah,
do you see a move up in his future?
Yeah, I mean, this attire's not in a bid to lose weight at the media event, but, you know, he's in a much better place than he was for the Kolmatov fight. He was well behind schedule on that. His weight is much, much better this time around. There's definitely a move to 130 at some point, but, you know, the problem is when you win a belt, the value is in being a champion, not in moving up and just being a challenger in the top 10. So you want to stay there as long as possible whilst making sure you've got it in the tank.
Agreed. And sometimes that causes fighters to hang on to a weight a little bit longer than they should, but that's the business, the game that they're in. Nick Ball about to make his way to the ring, and I asked him yesterday, Frank, how difficult it was to get over what happened against Vargas and how quickly he was able to move on. Getting another world title fight immediately is going to help you move on and refocus, but I could see in his face that was a tough one to swallow, because I don't know anyone really who doesn't think he won that fight.
I agree with all that. Look, he's been very quick, coming straight off that fight, straight into another world title fight against another good world champion. That's very unusual, but it's happening for him. So he's not had time to dwell too much on what didn't happen. He's got to focus on what can happen now and what he can make happen. So this is all in literally in both of his hands. He is, as I've said earlier, he improves every fight and he relishes the challenge. He's a tremendous competitor, and people think he just walks forward and he's like a bit of a slugger, but he's a very difficult guy to catch. At least I hope he will be. But he's very difficult to catch. He's got great head movement, and he can just move out quickly, does his work and gets away. He's an excellent young fighter. I think he's one of the best young fighters in the world.
He's going to find the target a lot easier than he did against Vargas, because he had to literally launch himself.
Last time,
He's 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
And I think Ford suits his style. I think this could be the fight of the night. Could really be the fight of the night. It could be a relentless war.
Yeah, exactly. They could all be.
I don't see a bad fight. I think it's impossible to see one bad fight.
Yeah.
What's he going to say about you on Saturday night?
Okay, fellas, we're not going to be able to keep you forever. You're in demand. Let's just have a little word about the dynamic of this. The team aspect really interests me because I've always felt that there's room for a team competition in boxing. Because for the wider audience, it's easy to understand. Everybody gets it, don't they?
We're all talking about the rivalry and the history. We're not talking about the team concept. This is the first time in boxing you're going to have points running during the broadcast. You've got double points for the captains, and the start is so important. Like if Craig Richards can get off to a win, we're flying. If Hamzah Sheeraz was to lose, all of a sudden that's the captain's pick gone. If Hamzah Sheeraz wins by stoppage, we're going to need Wilder to do the same in the last fight. So that running total, that running score is a brilliant new addition in terms of concept. And this fight is going to be a thriller.
Well, Frank, what are your thoughts on the team format, the team concept? It is an individual sport, boxing. We all know that. They're very, very focused, but there is room for something like this. You wouldn't want every card to be a team versus team, but sometimes it's going to be refreshing.
One thing about team concept, no one will want to let the team down. So they'll all be, you won't want to be the guy who look. You don't want to be the guy that misses the penalty in the penalty shootout. No. So you're going to want to win this. You're going to give that little bit more, and the camaraderie between all of them has been brilliant. I mean, all the guys, they're looking at it as a team as well. So, but obviously, boxing is an individual sport as participants concerned. Between all of them, they're all cheering each other. They're all feeling each other. Backstage just now was brilliant with all of them. They're all it's like all for one and one for all? That's how they're thinking.
Do you think you are going to do this? People are talking about you doing it twice a year, or
we picked 5. We could do 20 at different levels, world championship levels, prospects, area titles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the thrill of the competition and the fact that all the fights are so well matched.
Okay, gents, we'll let you go. We'll let you go because I know there's plenty of other people who want to talk to you. Very good to see you. Just so people are aware, Eddie Hearn has gone full Canelo in his D&G pyjamas.
It's 42 degrees.
Well,
I mean, you got some front.
I walked onto that one.
Can I just ask you both as well? Is Bivol walking before the 2 heavyweights on the night? The 2 heavyweight fights. He will come last, yeah?
It's the last fight.
It's the last fight of the night.
Well, it should be. You don't want to stop the momentum of the 5 fights, do you?
Well, I don't know. It could be a pause for see how you guys are getting on at that point, because there's going to be.
You'll lose. You'll be an hour. The mojos.
All that nonsense. You want that tension and then straight into.
Is it going to come down to the heavyweight fights?
I think so.
5-0 would be 4 up by then.
There we go. Love it.
Absolutely love it. Thanks very much, gentlemen. Thanks very much. We will see you again during the course of the week. Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren just making their way off stage.
And now let's welcome the defending champion representing Queensberry Promotions, and he is the team captain. Coming to us from Ilford, England, he brings an undefeated record with 19 wins. 15 of his 19 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending WBC silver middleweight champion, Hamzah Sheeraz.
So this is the middleweight contest. We just saw Austin Williams, an undefeated fighter, and as discussed at the beginning, Gareth, I do feel like these two are pretty evenly matched in terms of the way their career has gone. He's been in with Steve Rolls, Austin Williams, for example, who boxed GGG, Triple G not that long ago, Edgar Berlanga as well. Hamzah, as Spencer Oliver pointed out, got that win against Liam Williams, but I agree with you that was good matchmaking. Yeah. So this is the biggest test that either of them has had in their career to date, and that's what you want, isn't it?
Exactly, that's what it is. It could be, on another time, this could be for a vacant world title. But I think Hamzah's relishing it. It's very little to split between them. It's a genuine 50-50. I agree with Spencer. He's very upright, compact. He's been working on his lateral movement. I do know that because it's one thing that bothered him. He is going to hit Ammo. If he gets his timing right quicker than Ammo will get to him.
Skipper, you have that Queensberry blue and yellow running through your veins. You're a Queensberry thoroughbred. It must feel amazing that you have been trusted with the captain's armband. Talk to me.
Yeah, no, it feels amazing. It feels amazing. First of all, I'd like to thank the Almighty Allah for allowing me to be here, for allowing all of us to be here today. and I'm honoured. I've said what I've had to say. I've done my camp, done everything that needed to be done. Come Saturday night, inshallah, I'll put on a great performance for you all.
Your points get doubled. Are we looking at 4 big points for Queensberry on Saturday?
That's the plan, inshallah. That's definitely the plan. The way I've gone about things in camp with Ricky and the team and whatnot, I think if I do as they say and do it correctly, the knockout should be there.
Best of luck to you, Captain. Hamzah Sheeraz, big one, Saturday night.
Okay, so we are just about to usher in the heavyweight. Craig Richards has come to join us as Gareth A. Davis was just inquiring about the Wi-Fi situation. Thomas Treiber is introducing now Daniel Dubois and Filip Hrgovic. We'll have a chat with you, Craig, about this heavyweight fight as well. I'm always interested in what you think. How did you find that? You've been involved in lots of big fight weeks, but this is a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit different. It's a big event. I've never seen anything like it. So it's just great to be involved with. And I'm excited to see what the rest of the week brings. But most importantly, I'm just ready for Saturday night.
What does it do to you to be in this? I mean, it could be New York, it could be Las Vegas.
Yeah.
What does it do inside you?
Oh, you embrace it, and you're like, yeah, this is great, and you want to keep coming back. But most importantly, it just makes you think Saturday night, I'm just got to punch his head in even more than I wanted to.
Is there that team spirit that Frank and Eddie are on about? Do you really feel it as a group of fighters that you don't want to let the others down?
Yeah, of course. You want to make sure your team win, and you want to make sure you do your part. So for me, getting my 2 points is important.
So Filip Hrgovic making his way to the ring, undefeated. He's the IBF #1 up against Daniel Dubois. And I saw you last night, probably about midnight. I was just going for a little stroll. You'd just been working out in the gym, and as we said, you know, it's going to be a late night. You're going to be boxing late, so you need to make that adjustment.
Yeah, I've been making an adjustment. I've been training around the times I'll be fighting, just getting used to it. So I'm doing everything like a true professional, ticking the boxes so I can be ready Saturday night.
He is one of the most decorated amateurs we've ever seen. He has got a good style. He's had a couple of halters and stutters in his career. You are the favourite, but I'm sure you're not underestimating him. You know what he does. What does he do well in your view that you're going to, and what does he don't do well that you're going to expose?
Listen, I just want to punch his head in. I don't really care what he does well. I'm not really bothered. I don't really respect him that much.
No.
I see him early, he's saying racist stuff to me. I'm just going to punish him fat Saturday night. That's about it.
Oh, wow.
Well, in the background, we've got a quick conversation going on with Filip Hrgovic. In terms of this event, in the context of your career and how significant it is for you, you're 34 years old now, you're experienced, you've won titles, you've won big fights, you've been in big fights. Bivol's here tonight, you've been in with him, put up a very good showing that night. This is the time, isn't it? You need to fly now.
Yeah, this is the time. You know, I've made the changes with a good team, a good coach, trainer of the year. He's been teaching me a lot in the gym. And, you know, this is where my career is really starting. So now this is the first step. Go out and execute what I've been working on and push on and really make the most of my career now, the second half.
Can I get into that thing that he's lit a fire in you by things he said then? That is not a wise thing to do with Craig Richards, because I did that once, and you've never forgiven me, and it wasn't a nasty way.
I'm a person who got told I hold grudges.
Yeah.
And term racist abuse, I don't take them lightly. So, yeah, I'm going to enjoy Saturday night.
Is that a real power inside you, that then?
Oh, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. He's lit a firework now. I'm looking forward to it.
Are we going to see another gear from you on Saturday night?
Yeah, you'll see the gears you need to see, but I'll get the job done.
Okay, Craig, always good to talk to you. We'll let you go. You probably need to nip back to the hotel and get yourself off to the gym. Good to see you. Good to see you as always.
London, England. He brings a record consisting of 20 wins, 2 defeats, 19 of his 20 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former WBA regular heavyweight world champion and the #4 ranked contender in the world by the IBF, Triple D, Daniel Dynamite Dubois.
Last time we saw Daniel Dubois, he was under serious pressure. That fight he took just before Christmas. Frank Warren was saying during that week that basically if he couldn't beat Jarrell Miller, then he really didn't see where he was going to go. He delivered and he did beat Jarrell Miller, so that was huge for him. And I got the feeling, you get the feeling when you're around him now, that did so much for his confidence, because he'd been labelled a quitter a couple of times. We saw what happened against Joyce, we saw what happened against Usyk, but against Miller, it looked like it was going the wrong way and he might be out to go under, but he didn't.
He's been on a big stage for a long time, Andy, and he was a very young man. I thought he showed up at the last event against Jarrell Miller. I thought he showed up in terms of who's the daddy at the press conference, and it was really brilliant.
Listen, the last time you were in Riyadh, you showed heart, you showed grit, and you showed power late on. What are you going to show us on Saturday night?
More of that and better. You know, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to do the talking with my fists and get in there and do the business.
And I see you completely donned head to toe in the Queensberry. Frank Warren has backed you through the good times and the bad times. How much is it going to mean to win this, not just for yourself, but also for Frank on Saturday?
Massively. Queensberry, we're going to do it. So, you know, I'm up for it. I'm ready.
Best of luck to you, Daniel. Let's fist bump that. Daniel Dubois, big prediction for Saturday night.
I tell you what, Queensberry have got some very, very solid kit. I haven't seen Matchroom full tracksuits and baseball caps. I'm just saying the Queensberry fighters are decked out. You know, they look like they mean business, much like myself.
Hey, baby, you look great. You know that. You know it. Daniel Dubois, I think you might have said it. It was like he punched a giant sofa in Jarrell Miller for 11 or 12 rounds. And he really had to work so hard. But in that 6th or 7th round, when he was implored by his father and by Frank against Jarrell Miller, he delivered, because Jarrell Miller made Daniel Dubois, triple dynamite Dubois, look medium-sized, didn't he, in there, 23 stone of Jarrell Miller. I think he's got to force Hrgovic to really fight him. I think there's a lot in Hrgovic. I think he's got another gear or two. And I think if Hrgovic can take it into the late rounds, I worry a little bit for Daniel. But as I said before, if he wins the fight, we get him against Anthony Joshua. That is huge.
It would be absolutely massive. There's no two ways about that. Hrgovic was a very, very good amateur, won an Olympic bronze medal. Him and Joyce were the kind of top two fighters at super heavyweight during that cycle. He's still undefeated, whereas the others, the likes of Joyce and Yoka, you can argue, have fallen by the wayside. He does want to keep that IBF ranking, so he hasn't been too ambitious with his opponents in recent times. And that's kind of my concern, really, for him, is that he hasn't necessarily had to really engage. Against Zhang, I thought he was lucky. He maybe lost that fight. Against Dempsey McKean, he got the finish late, but he laboured a bit. And Mark Tamori, well, you couldn't really tell too much from that fight at all, could you, to be honest?
Well, no, the first punch he hit Mark Tamori with, he did the chicken dance, didn't he? And it was and he covered up and he was very hurt. Hrgovic, sat with Hrgovic several times now over the next few years, and it's frustrated him how patient he's had to be. And he's had to be patient while Wilder, Fury, Usyk and Joshua have ruled the roost, yeah? I think he's a brilliant fighter in the top 6 or 7 in the world right now. If he cements a very solid victory against Daniel Dubois, or even stops him, he sits easily in the top 5 or 6 for me, alongside Joseph Parker and then those other 4 that I mentioned. Well, we don't know what's going to happen to Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang. The winner of that one probably stays in that top 6 mix. I think I've counted 7 or 8 there, but that's the way it is at the moment. We can go through the top 20 right now, but heart again says Dubois, head says Hrgovic for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable summation, because you can look at these things from a number of different angles, and that's why these are good matches, basically, because some fighters have got the body of evidence on their side, the resume, and that's the case with Hrgovic as opposed to Dubois. But Dubois is just at that point in his career where he's coming into the back of it off a meaningful win, and therefore he's got momentum, and momentum is absolutely key. Next up, we've got Wilder against Zhang, and they're both coming into this off the back of defeats against the same person. And you just wonder how they will respond, particularly Wilder, because he is a different person now, as we discussed at the start of the show. it is possible that real meanness he used to have isn't there anymore, but the power will still be there. Everybody tells you that the power is the last thing to go. So, okay, he might not be as ruthless as he was previously, but he can still hurl almighty leather.
The rumour is, with all the R's, that Deontay's used the retirement word this week, and that worries me a little bit. Zhang, I thought, was very unfortunate against Joseph Parker. 2 knockdowns from him in the first half of the fight. I scored that very close to a draw, by the way, Parker and
from
Zhang.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama,
I thought there was an argument that it was a draw, but
he was a 2008
who knows? I mean,
Olympic
it's an
bronze
amazing
medalist,
matchup.
and
It's
now
so thrilling,
as
isn't
a
it?
professional, has a record consisting of 43 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw. 42 of his 43 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, known as the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder.
He's an astonishing athlete, fighter and physical specimen, Deontay Wilder. 6'7" of sinew, really. He's got that kind of elasticity that allows him to throw punches with knockout power from almost any position, almost any angle, at any time. And that's what's made him the most dangerous knockout puncher possibly we've ever seen. You look at the stats and you look at the way he's able to do it to people. He will still be able to do that.
He had a haunted look against Joseph Parker, and that needs to have gone. He's just under 16 stone. As you say, as an athlete, he's a freak. He's telescopic in his reach, and he can finish a fight. As you say, percentage-wise and statistically, he's arguably the most dangerous heavyweight in history.
In Matchroom, this is your captain speaking, Deontay Wilder. They say with great power comes great responsibility as well. You're the man with the captain's armband this week. Why are you the man and the fighter to lead this Matchroom team to victory on Saturday night?
Well, you know, I'm the man with the big right hand, you know, with the big bomb. You know, nobody has the mentality, the warrior spirit, the warrior heart, and the killer instinct as I, especially when I'm on. When I'm on, I'm the dangerous man in the world, and I'm ready to prove it come Saturday night. But I don't take nothing from none of the guys. All of us are great. We all have greatness in us, for greatness is only determined by service.
You said that the calm, composed, almost nice Deontay Wilder that we saw against Joseph Parker isn't as exciting for the boxing fans. That's what you told me yesterday. What does the boxing world prefer about the man you tell me is well and truly back? What do they prefer about the Bronze Bomber?
I mean, they want the savagery. They want the savage of the Bronze Bomber, you know. I said no more Mr. Nice Guy because I'm in a place of peace. I'm in a place, when I say peace, in an area surrounded by so many beautiful peoples here. The Saudis want to see action. They want to see excitement, and I owe them that. I didn't deliver last time, you know, but this time, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
And when we talk about action, look at yourself and Big Bang Zhilei, 63 knockouts between you. When Alabama power meets Chinese power on Saturday, tell the world what happens, Deontay.
Yeah, it's going to be great. You know, I'm looking forward to fighting Big Bang Zhang. As again, I love his acting Zhang, Big Bang Zhang, you know. And when you have Chinese power and Alabama power, it's hard for anything to go out, you know. But somebody like's got to get knocked out. This is a fight that somebody getting knocked out. This is not a 12-round fight. When people come to see the big boys, they want to see the knockouts. And unfortunately, it's between me and him, and somebody getting that getting that lights knocked out.
And for you, just finally, as captain, 4 points up for grabs with a knockout. Is that the aim?
Most definitely. We're going on a winning streak. You know, we're sweeping the cards. You know, and that's all I got to say about that.
Well, the Bronze Bomber, well and truly back this weekend. Your Matchroom captain, Deontay Wilder.
And now let's welcome, representing Queensberry Promotions. He is a native of China, now fighting out of Bloomfield, New Jersey, USA. He was a 2008 Olympic silver medalist, and now as a professional has a record consisting of 26 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw, 21 of his 26 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former WBO interim heavyweight world champion, Zhilei Big Bang Zhang.
He's a fascinating kind of character, Zhilei Zhang, because his professional career for a long time was meandering. It wasn't really going anywhere. And then he answered the call to fight Filip Hrgovic in Jeddah a couple of years ago, put up a really good display, didn't get it on the cards, could easily have done on another night. At that point, Gareth, I felt like he might get frozen out. Joe Joyce, being the man he is, gave him an opportunity, and we know what happened in those 2 fights. And off the back of that, he was catapulted right into the big time. But then Joseph Parker did for him, like he did for Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, it was a very close fight for me, that. But yeah, he made his name with those 2 fights against Joe Joyce. What I really like about him, you were there that day, media day yesterday. He's really slimmed down for this. He's not 21 stone. He's probably about 19 and a half to 20 stone. The midriff has gone. I think he's looking at a longer fight here. He went to sleep in the last 4 rounds against Joseph Parker, all ran out of steam, and I don't think he wants it to happen again. For that reason, I think he's a more dangerous fighter in this fight than he was against Joseph Parker.
Big Bang Zhang, great to see you. Just there, the Big Bang. Kurt, great to see you as well, my friend. Zhilei, we spoke yesterday. You said you've been through the training camp of hell, but this time there's a different Big Bang. How dangerous are you right now?
昨天你说从地狱训练营出来，这次你有多危险？
每一次训练营都是地狱式的训练，然后这一次经过上一次的总结之后，这一次比上一次更加危险。
Well, every training camp is a training camp of hell, but this time I learned a lot, so it's going to be more dangerous.
Now, Deontay Wilder says that he has rediscovered the Bronze Bomber, and the Bronze Bomber is back. What are you expecting from Deontay Wilder on Saturday night?
威尔德说这个青铜轰炸机已经回来了，你觉得他回来了吗？
对，他回来了，但是他碰见一颗炸弹。
I think he's back. He's back to being banged.
然后轰炸机遇到炸弹，什么样的结果
？When a bomber meets a bang, you know that's going to happen.
We do know what's going to happen, and also you have the opportunity to deprive Matchroom of big points, taking on their captain. How do you feel about that?
Matchroom 把他选做队长，你觉得他们选对了还是选错了？
我感觉是选错了。然后这是艾迪恨在讨好他，然后想要从他身上拿到推广合同。
I think they made a mistake. This is Eddie Hearn trying to kiss his ass, and he tried to get a promotional contract with him.
Fantastic stuff. And finally, you've described this as Chinese power versus Alabama power. I'd like you to tell everyone at home what happens when Chinese power meets Alabama power.
Chinese power vs Alabama power. Bang, bang, bang!
Bang, bang, bang indeed. Thank you so much, Zhilei Zhang. Thank you, Kurt. Big, big fight with the big boys on Saturday night.
Well, Deontay Wilder said it really. When the big boys get together, people want to see knockouts, and that's exactly the fact of the matter. That's the reality. And joining us now, we've got Don Charles, trainer of Daniel Dubois, who of course is in that other heavyweight fight against Filip Hrgovic. And Don, we've been talking about the fight, and we've been talking about how in some of these matchups, when you look at the respective records and the body of work, if you like, there is quite a clear favourite, but then on the other side of the fence you've got somebody who has got some real momentum, who's a very live underdog, and that's how we see this fight, because that win for Daniel against Jarrell Miller, it was huge, wasn't it? It can't be underestimated to think how much that did for him, or could potentially do for him.
I mean, look, you know, we're always the underdog. In my beliefs, underdog, overdog, side dog, it doesn't matter, it's a fight. And we always train to win, we always come to win, and that's what we've come here for.
Do you feel, though, that fight gave him the belief that I feel like you've been trying to install in him that when it gets hard, he can get through it. Because I just remember being ringside for the fight against Usyk, where he went down in one round and he got back up, and in the corner you were saying to him, I see what you nearly did there, don't do it, don't do it. Then in the next round he did stay down. But I personally believe that bravery is something that can be kind of taught. You know, if it's in there, you can find it and bring it more to the surface. And he's finding his courage a bit more now, maybe.
It's called development. It's a called maturity. It's called evolution. All those words combined to one. He had to do it for himself and find himself. And it's him that's in that ring. And he's got a lot of wonderful people around him, family, the team, and collectively, it's a collective effort to get him to where he is now.
Don, what's the key against Hrgovic in your view?
Well, the key is always Pardon me?
The keys.
Yeah, the keys. There's a number of keys, things we have to do. So I'm not going to give you my game plan. No, I never do that. But the keys to victory is to execute the game plan as close as possible to how we've trained.
How are you going to see it finishing then?
Oh,
by stoppage?
It'll be a stoppage, yes. We're going to be judge and the jury, basically.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Whilst we've got you here, we need to ask you about Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang. I've honestly got no idea what's going to happen in that fight.
Well, nor has everyone, including myself. Obviously, I've got our own fight to concentrate on. But if you want to ask my opinion, I always give my honest opinion. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Deontay Wilder alluded to that. It's ever who pulls the trigger first out of those two people. They can both punch. So whoever pulls the trigger first wins the fight. That will end up in a KO, that fight.
What do you make of Deontay Wilder these days in terms of his demeanour, his kind of personality? He does seem to be different now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he had to do some soul-searching after the last performance against Parker. He's gone away, looked at himself, who am I? He has to rediscover who he was. The Deontay Wilder that got the world of boxing excited. I believe from his demeanour, you can see that he's rediscovered his former self.
And if he's not the guy out there banging people out, knocking people out, he's a very tall, very light super heavyweight now, isn't he? And Zhang is a much bigger, heavier man.
Like Usyk proved at the weekend, 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
You know, size is a factor if you can apply it.
Usyk could have made Bridgerweight.
Absolutely,
he could have made Bridgerweight for
so,
that fight. So
you know, let's take the size out of the equation. Like I said, size is a factor if you can apply it.
Do you fancy Daniel against Anthony Joshua?
Let's
Come on.
Let's win on the first.
Okay.
I'll concentrate on the first. I know what you're like, you know, you're trying to always draw out of me, but I'm too old, remember that, and wise.
And I'm even older, but not as wise.
All right.
Okay, Don, thanks very much for your time. We'll let you go. Always a pleasure to chat.
Cheers.
He's a very polite man, Don Charles.
Oh,
but
he's amazing.
I just feel like Gareth A. Davis might have been about to disappear off the back of the stage there if he stayed there too much longer. So the grand arrivals are concluded. They rattle through them nice and quickly, but we got our first look of the week at our fighters in a formal setting, because we saw them all yesterday, but they're all very relaxed on the Monday of fight week, where basically everybody sits down and agrees to give as much of their time as they can, so you've all got plenty of material for the week. It becomes a lot less predictable now in terms of how they'll behave, doesn't it?
Yeah, but we were in a large auditorium in a beautiful hotel on the outskirts of the city near the airport, and it was a cinema and everyone was relaxed, and they're relaxed with each other as well, and it's a chance to ask people how camp's gone, what special things they've done. I'm in the same residences as Don and Daniel. I haven't disturbed them at all. When they're at lunch, dinner, they're doing their own thing. I'll get my time with Daniel tomorrow. I just think in these 50-50 situations, they're all main events. They all see themselves as a main event here. All 6 fights are a main event. That's how we have to see it. And it's almost section by section. Boxing's round by round. This is fight by fight, section by section. There's so much on the line for every man in every fight here. And if Daniel Dubois, you see Don's eyes lit up there. He was crying almost from emotion. If Daniel Dubois beats Hrgovic, we're having Daniel Dubois against Anthony Joshua at Wembley Stadium. Please, almighty God, thank you so much.
Well, that would be a mouth-watering prospect. There's absolutely no question about that. It's such a spectacular setting, this Times Square and Boulevard City in Riyadh is where we are. We'll be here every night up until Saturday night, which, of course, is Fight Night. All 5 of those fights in the Queensberry versus Matchroom show are just terrific. But let's just go back to Bivol to finish with, because no one's really talking about that fight. We expected it to be Beterbiev. It isn't. He's not the kind of guy to take his eye off the ball. But in these surroundings, where you go from being the biggest fight on the card to being probably the one that people care about the least, this is when you have to be on your guard.
I think it's helping him that Craig Richards is here. I'm just thinking about it in a really weird way, because I was there when he fought, I don't know if you went to that fight, but he fought Craig Richards in lockdown on a night when Ricky Hatton's son fought. Natasha Jonas had an amazing fight with Katie Taylor. We were all segregated in lockdown. It was in Manchester. Craig Richards put up a tremendous performance against Dimitri Bivol, who fought inside himself and within himself, and I think that's how he'll do this. And he'll break his opponent down, and I think he'll get a stoppage. I don't think he'll go for bust in this fight. And I'm hearing, I don't know if this is a fact, there is a possibility, if Fury and Usyk 2 is delayed, that Beterbiev and Bivol may fight at the beginning, towards the beginning of the Riyadh season 2024. And if they do, then that's a brilliant fight, around kind of October, early November time. It's an amazing fight. I hope we still see it. Bivol is a special character. I know the photographer that works with him in camp, and there is something, she describes it, Maud her name, she describes it as almost, there's almost something Zen-like about him, whatever he does in camp. Beautiful personality, everything is done with time, and when he fights, Andy, he seems to have so much time to do everything, and you know what that is? Greatness.
Agreed. He is an extremely accomplished fighter, Dimitri Bivol. He's moved very quickly in his career. He won that WBA title a long time ago now, but this is just that kind of situation where if ever anyone was going to take their eye off the ball, then this could be it. And boxing history shows us that no matter how much you try and guard against something like that, sometimes it can happen. So I'll just run you through the card that we can expect on Saturday. Dimitri Bivol defending that WBA light heavyweight title against Malik Zinad, but really it's Warren versus Hearn, it's Queensberry versus Matchroom, it's 5 versus 5. That's really what we're here for.
Gentlemen, you know my rules. We'll have no around and absolutely no funny business. We're going to wait our turn and maintain our manners at all times, or this game's over before it's even begun. Frank, let's have you do the honours. Age before beauty, Eddie. Let's get some fights made. I haven't got all night.
Chop, chop, Frankie. Off you go.
Chop, chop indeed. That's a cleaver swinging, and there's a killer behind it. He's enjoying his first Friday as a butcher, when 2 guys come in to collect, as they always do. Where's our money, they demand from his boss. Our butcher here doesn't take too kindly to the noise. He calmly asks, "Can I help you?" Before they can respond, crash. Bang. And a wallop. They wake up on the pavement the next morning. Nice sausages, though.
Cute. What a lovely bedtime story. Flip it, sweetheart.
What's your mouth?
The jeweller. This kid's a proper diamond. Rocks, chains, watches. Knock, knock. Who's there? 3 blokes come crashing through the door. Lost Property's closed on a Monday, boys. He's smart, but some people just can't take no for an answer. I don't think this is yours, they say. The front man throws a punch. My man slips it. Bang! He pops the next man's nose like a bloody balloon. You've broken my nose. He goes, bang! And it's outside, and a quick way down for the challenger.
Let's see what you're packing, Eddie.
Picture this. You got yourself into one of the most dangerous man's houses in the East End. You're browsing his gallery for your nan's next wall piece.
Looked after his nan. Oh.
When you come face to face with a colourful character himself and his lovely sawn-off shotgun, you slip the first shot, leaving with a shiner to remember you by. That's another one for his nan's collection.
They say if you love what you do, you'll never have to work another day in your life. He's never had a CV. Just a fist. So he got a job as a doorman. And like the saying goes, if you can't take the heat, then why are you even in the kitchen?
Talking about kitchens, this man is a cook, and he doesn't take customer feedback too well either. That's not the way I like it. Get back in there and make me another, customer says. Wallop. Now that's one way to enjoy a haggis.
It's the ones that work in the shadows are the ones you want to look out for. He shouts at my lad, "Get over here and clean this blood off the canvas." My lad steps inside the ring. "Where's your mop?" He said he'd clean the floor with him. Night-night.
I can always respect a man that takes out the rubbish.
This lot in the same room's going to be trouble. Come on, then.
This man's an artist. My lad's a perfectionist, a visionary, fists like cast iron. His boss comes over. "What's taking you so long?" "I'm thinking," he says. Next minute, it's bang.
Now, houses aren't this man's forte. He likes fixing cars and breaking jaws. If you happen to find your way into this man's garage looking for trouble, saying things like, "Should I trash the place? Should I burn the place?" you're generally leaving toothless, I'm afraid.
Last two cards, gents.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear tyres and ride double-deckers. So when someone disrupts his peaceful commute, crash, his head through the window.
This man's been behind the wheel all day. What does he see? Some having some old girl's handbag. He hammers his foot to the pedal. He steps out of the taxi to finish the job right there on the pavement. She even tipped him a fiver.
June the 1st, make sure your mob are there.
Troops assembled.
Shake hands, boys. Let's have a fair fight.
Boxing fans, boxing fans joining us around the world, and boxing fans here in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is the face-off for Queensberry 5 versus Matchroom 5.
There truly is no boxing event that cannot be improved by the Rocky theme tune. It just brings something different every time. Everybody hears it fire up. You just feel this kind of pulse and adrenaline around the place, and that is equally true for the fighters. You see them all up on stage there. It's a warm evening. Some of them are looking a little bit tetchy, so the stairs that are going across stage, some of them will be real, I assure you of that, as the two teams just peel off to their respective sides of the stage. Okay, that is it for the Grand Arrivals, the start of fight week for the 5 versus 5. We'll be back tomorrow with the open workouts, then the press conference, then the weigh-in, and then on Saturday night, the action itself. So thanks for your company this evening. Make sure you join us tomorrow.